Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Today I thought I would chat with you guys about something that I think is important. Sipping my Mutopia first. Real milk from a real cow, 0 fat, high protein, no lactose. Alright, I brought up this topic of eating mostly plant-based whole foods, obviously filling in animal protein. And people forget that I was saying this same stuff when I was bulking, but here's the thing that people are not grasping with this. It's not even just about health. Now, we could make the case that, yeah, for health, that is absolutely what you need to do. Okay, the data is overwhelming. A largely plant-based diet with some animal proteins, very high carbohydrate, low fat, whole foods. Pretty overwhelmingly good based on the data that we have for health and longevity. But let's set that aside. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about our gains. We are talking about training and body composition. We've already covered quite a bit of how carbs don't store as fat in humans, and that it's primarily dietary fat that increases body fat. Let's set that aside. This has been discussed in detail, in vast detail. So why eat this way if our goal is to make gains? Few things. Number one, carbohydrates are very anabolic and they are your training fuel. Protein beyond a certain threshold doesn't add as much to your ability hormonally to gain muscle as carbohydrates does. And I am not saying we don't need a high protein diet. Let's be clear. We do need a high protein diet. And we have plenty of data and numbers that we know the exact amount of protein. It's not even ambiguous. It's been heavily studied how much is required to maximize muscle growth in serious lifters. Okay, we have those numbers. They're lower than a lot of people think they are. That doesn't discredit the idea of protein overfeeding in certain situations because it's situationally valuable. But the protein intake itself is not adding additional muscle mass past a certain threshold. It's just not. And in my case, that's probably around 150, 160 grams for someone at my body weight. Okay? So, come over to what do we have left? Fats don't produce a hormonal response, it's anabolic. And they're just as prone to be stored as body fat. Okay? Carbohydrates are always a viable fuel source. Fats are not always a viable fuel source, only for certain activity. In other words, we can train harder, we can train longer on higher carbs. That includes when you're in a calorie deficit. All right, reduced carbohydrate intake is one of the number one problems with why we can't always train as hard as we would like. When we're in a calorie deficit, we're reducing our training fuel reserves. Okay, that's a big deal. Then we get into the insulinogenic response. Everyone starts worrying about insulin for fat gain. How many serious competitive bodybuilders out there do you see who utilize copious amounts of exogenous insulin, who are still not fat? It's anabolic to muscle tissue way more than it is to fat tissue. And if you train hard and have good insulin sensitivity, because you haven't done all that, guess what? Carbohydrates with a larger insulin response are better for gaining muscle. They're only a problem when you're pre-diabetic or you have type 2 diabetes or whatever. If you are not in that category, very insulinogenic carbs are extremely useful because we have a lower insulin response due to our muscle tissue anyways, and our muscle tissue tends to be greedy. So any insulin response we can get is generally going to be a good thing when we have a healthy response to it. Okay? Insulin, the IGF-1 and stuff it produces, is anabolic to your muscle tissue. It will directly enhance growth. It will speed up recovery. Right, the same thing with all these phytonutrients, antioxidants, all the other things in here. When we are eating largely whole foods of this nature, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, tubers, all these things, right? When we're eating very, very large amounts of these, think about the system in terms of recovery. Do you recover easier from training? Anyone who's eaten this way for any length of time and then changed it, I've done this. I've tried switching over to more fats, even healthier fats. My recovery is reduced. My recovery from training is reduced. I can't handle quite as much volumes. Okay. The antioxidants and the phytonutrients will allow you to recover better. They facilitate better recovery from training. Right? Because we reduce net inflammation after training systematically better. Our body handles it better. Okay? Scavenges free radicals and repairs damage faster. Do people understand this? That very large amounts of antioxidants in your overall diet, healthy gut biome from all the fiber, all these other things that we're doing essentially speeds up a regenerative response in your body. It causes faster healing in general in tissues. Do people not understand there's an oxidative stress component to our lifting, to our muscle tissue? So we come back over to, if we can speed up healing faster, we can handle higher volumes of training and we can do it again sooner. Okay. This is good for your gains. This is tremendous for your gains. And the difference, unlike some other things that are good for your gains, this is not harmful to you. You know, and that's the other thing. I get lots of people who use a lot of stuff and they'll be like, I don't need to worry about that because I can just take more stuff. You know, and I see that with a lot of younger guys. They'll eat a garbage diet. They'll eat a diet that doesn't contain everything you might want. Right? They're not trying to optimize and maximize antioxidant intake, fiber, phytonutrients, all these things, quality carbohydrates. They're not trying to maximize these things because they're like, I can just up the dose, bro. But that's harmful to your health. If you do these other things, you could take less stuff. You could probably take less stuff because you'll recover quicker. Again, these foods, these whole foods are valuable to your recovery from training. They're valuable to your muscle growth. Again, the larger carbohydrate intake, quality carbs, produces better training fuel. It produces better anabolic signaling. Okay? Again, the insulin, IGF-1, these things are directly anabolic to your muscle tissue, and all of it improves nutrient partitioning in a way that's better for body composition. So again, it fascinates me that this even has to be a subject of controversy. Okay? This has only been made a subject of controversy because of a bunch of idiot bad diets. And this stuff needs to go away. It's just ludicrous. All the carnivore diets and everything else. And again, I want people to be clear. I'm not telling anyone to go be a vegan or a vegetarian. That is not even what I'm saying. I'm not. And I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm saying is that your diet needs to be largely built around whole food, plant source calories. You're going to perform better. You're going to recover better. You're going to grow better. And you're going to be healthier. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.